Imagine a world where men's and women's football teams not only coexist, but thrive together, pushing each other to unprecedented heights. Now, stop imagining, because I'm about to tell you how we made it a reality. Good afternoon, my name is Malin Fahlén, Deputy CEO of Football Club BK Häcken. And I'm here to share a story of transformation that proves that equality in football leads to better results for everyone. It all started with a phone call the day before New Year's Eve in 2020. The chairman of another club in the city, the female Swedish champions, Gothenburg FC, had just declared that he was to dissolve the club. And now we, BK Häcken, was asked by their lawyer if we wanted to incorporate their first team into our business. Our clock started ticking. Because at New Year's Eve, the Swedish Football Association must know what teams will play in the first league next season. Which meant we had literally 24 hours to make our decision. All odds were against us. The economy was a catastrophe after a year of pandemic. As organizers of the Gothia Cup, the world's largest youth tournament, gathering over 50,000 people from all over the world in Gothenburg each summer, the club had been hit by the lockdown, worse than all other sports organizations in the country. Overnight, the club's turnover halved when we were forced to cancel the tournament for the first time since the start in 1975. Our staff was mentally exhausted after a year trying to keep the show going and at the same time staying healthy. With an impressive teamwork by everyone involved, before leaving for a well-deserved Christmas holiday, we summarized 2020 with a third place in the league and the completion of a season without any COVID spread. But most of all, football, and in recent years particularly Swedish football, is a conservative culture. In a membership democracy, we need to convince our supporters, our club owners, who take the decisions. And the collective mindset among supporters is very clear. You progress in the league system by winning football games, not by taking over what others have achieved. Other clubs had tried and failed. The two most successful clubs in Swedish football history had previously gone to their members with just this question, trying to take over a professional women's team, and their members had turned them down. You simply don't do this. But at the end of the day, after all these concerns, only one question remained. Would we do it passionately? We returned to the very essence of the club, to its working-class roots established in 1940. We reflected on how, over more than 80 years, successive leaders shaped and evolved the club. Innovative, finding their own path to success, often outside the realm of football. In the 1950s, they pioneered initiatives like the public park, Kulibacken, which became a cultural landmark, offering one of the most popular entertainments in Swedish cities at the time. Purpose-driven for a better tomorrow. Like Gothia Cup's mission, stated in a notebook 50 years ago. A mission to create a meeting place to increase the understanding between adolescents from different cultures and religions. Noting that profit must never become more important. Diversity and inclusiveness being ground pillars in the club's growth in a segregated Gothenburg during the 21st century. We're well aware that this flag can mean many things to different people, but for us, this represents that everyone is welcome. So, our history informed us that this, a professional women's team, was the missing piece for us to live our identity fully, equal. And it was the need of our local society in Gothenburg to be able to foster the next generation of girls with true hope of a future with equal rights and possibilities. If this team was to be dissolved, the children of Gothenburg would have had to travel 300 kilometers to be able to watch First League women football. And we asked ourselves, if not us, who? If not now, when? This was the message we brought to our members. Because beside the time limit to inform the Swedish FA, we needed our members, our club owners, to take the formal decision. 3 weeks later, we held an extraordinary general meeting, and 91% of our members said yes. They felt proud to be able to do something that really matters, to take a decision that would actually change people's lives. That night, between making the decision and the first team training session in the morning, we had staff staying up, printing the new training kits for everything to be prepared when the players arrived in the morning. We even took down a wall between two of our academy teams' dressing room, remaking it into a first team dressing room, making sure the size of the women's teams was just as big as the men's teams was. Our decision was that we, from day one, were to be 2 teams but 1 club. Because you know what? First impressions last. In March that year, when welcoming our youngest youth teams, our new 6-year-olds, for the first time we could look both boys and girls in their eyes, point at the yellow and black jerseys and say, the chance for you to one day play in the Champions League in this same jersey is now a reality. 2 months later, we won our first title in women's football, winning the Swedish Cup final. Worth an applause, huh? But at the same time, our men's team had their worst start of a season in more than a decade, going without a win through the 7 first league games, placing them in the bottom of the league table. Fans and media went harsh on us, being a team that before the season started were one of the top contenders to the championship. Many club leaders would have shaken in that situation, immediately shifting focus to the men's team only, motivating it with the fact that they are the ones bringing in the money. No one would have protested if we did. But once again, we reminded ourselves of who we are. We're a club that takes decisions by values, not by traditions. Instead, our CEO was quoted in media saying, "It's our women's team that lead the way in the club now." Some of our male players were irritated about that quote, frustrated. Our coach definitely was. But also, I believe, it made them motivated. And the year after, in 2022, BK Häcken won Allsvenskan, the Swedish First League in men's football. For the first time ever. And last year, we were one out of only 7 clubs in Europe that played in the UEFA competition with both our men's and women's team, with our women reaching the quarterfinal in the Champions League. So, how did our one club equality approach not only contribute but become a key factor to the club's success? Culture changed. Our women's team grew when they, for the first time, got to perform in a professional environment, not having rats running around the showers like they did in the previous club. The club's support increased their self-esteem, and they adapted to the courageous and creative culture in BK Häcken. The men's team, on the other hand, noticed the professionalism shown by the women's team's players, how they individually took responsibility for their own performances and development each day. Whereas the men's team's players sometimes acted spoiled, being used to have everything put in place by the club when they arrived to work. They learned to turn the mirror to themselves and to make sure to go to work each day and take their own responsibility to improve, as a player and as a person. Competence increased. By having 2 first teams side by side, the club was able to recruit more coaching staff, and on a higher level, finding synergies, being able to spread the costs since the expertise could be used in both teams. Also, it made us more attractive as an employer, since the most competent people in the business liked the idea of working in a top-level club in both men's and women's football. Experience exchanged. To be an elite athlete or coach can sometimes be lonely and stressful. You are your performances, and each day you're exposed to others criticizing, booing your mistakes. And you have no one to speak with who completely understands what you go through. Like if you're a goalkeeper giving away a goal, or a top scorer who suddenly goes 10 games without scoring. But all of a sudden we had 2 in each position. Regardless who you were, you had a fellow colleague in the men's team or in the women's team to share your thoughts with. By the coffee machine in the morning, or on the training bikes next to each other during pre-warm-up. But maybe most of all, the one club approach gave us competitive motivation. Because these are high-performance athletes, always striving to be the best, to be the most bright, shining, uplifted star in the club. Not being put in the shadow by no one. Simply put, they made each other better. So, are we there? Are we 100% equal today? No. There are still areas where we know what we need to improve. And as long as we are in an unequal business, football, as well as we live in an unequal society, we need to stay aware and active in our everyday lives, not letting prejudices slipping into our minds and decisions. Culture in practice. Transformation takes time. We need everyone in our organization to join our mission to be able to succeed. Both those who have been in the front row fighting for equality since forever, and the conservative culture-shaped persons who maybe just have realized that this word equality actually might have something. That's why we must lead the transformation with a both-and philosophy. We need to push it patiently. We need to educate for the long-term lasting change, and sometimes we need to endure in the short term, because there will be a million compromises along the way to reach real change. Finally, women's football has too long been treated as charity. We don't do charity. We don't do this only to be kind. This is purpose-driven business. We truly believe, we know, that football will be better for all when it's equal for all. Women and men. We're leaning onto the research of UEFA, FIFA, and other institutes saying, the time to invest in diversity is now. The time to invest in equality is now. The time to invest in women's football is now. Thank you.